clearly the fact that he was able to come up with this. He didn't come up with this on his own. This isn't just some guy who showed up at a golf course and lucked out and happened to be at the right place at the right time with a few articles of tactical gear to benefit him potentially in a firefight with Secret Service. There's three things here I want to put out that are factually.
Well, and Tony, real quick, by the way, when you say he was in a firefight with Secret Service, a lot of people are saying, wait a minute, the Secret Service agent saw the rifle, saw the barrel, saw the muzzle, got rounds off. We know that he got some rounds off. We're not sure if the shooter got rounds off yet. I think that remains to be seen. Why is it that he doesn't seem to be scathed? Why doesn't it seem like any of the rounds found their purchase? Is it possible that, and again, we're only seeing the back of these backpacks, do the front of these backpacks have potentially bullet holes on them? Did they actually function as intended to provide him with that cover for his sniper's nest? And if so, was that a tactic that he learned from people on the battlefield in Ukraine?
Well, the answer is, of course, he learned it on the battlefield in Ukraine, I believe, because he was there. I mean, it's not disputed that he was there. He's not disputed. He was trying to recruit soldiers to go fight there. So the three things which I think are factually accurate, there's no dispute. He somehow ended up on the Trump International Golf Course at a time the president was there. That's not in dispute. How did he know to be there at that time, Jack? How did he know to be there at that precise time when there was no announcement of the president going? So how did he know that? That's very peculiar. Secondly, how did he know that very spot? Was he somehow either leaked the information regarding that potential key terrain? And I think you and I could agree, this is key terrain. This is terrain that somehow someone had identified as being incidental to the course regarding the path the president would take, as well as being within a critical range for an AK type weapon. So those are two indisputable facts. Third, and most importantly, to your point just now, we're talking about, did he have some level of military training sufficient to make him a real threat? The answer is yes, of course. He had an AK, which I would not have chosen as a weapon, but I'm an AR guy myself, and I like the 7.62 as a round in the old M1, the M1As. But this guy clearly had some level of knowledge and real-time intelligence to get him into a position where he was setting up a hide site, essentially a sniper hide site, a spider hole, if you will. I think that's what he was going for. And because he was not, as I'll just say it, probably not the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to tactics and technology, he just wasn't able to set up properly in time. And I think his lack of camouflage, he clearly had some level of concealment. He was not easily observable. But the fact is that the fact he didn't have adequate training to make himself more camouflaged is what probably saved the president.